Star Wars Skeleton Crew, is created by John Watts and Christopher Ford, and it premiered December 2nd, 2024 on Disney+. This is a show that takes place in the Star Wars universe in the same time frame of the series The Mandalorian and after the events of Return of the Jedi. It's a coming-of-age story about 4 children who make a discovery on their home planet, while then they get lost in the galaxy and go on an adventure to get back home. The first 2 episode premiere, which was supposed to happen December 3rd, had an early premiere the day before, and each episode runs between 35 to 45 minutes long. This series will run for 8 episodes, and it stars Jude Law as Captain Silvo, who is kind of a pirate, I want to say, who later on is known as John Nawood. And in the opening sequence in episode 1, we see Captain Silvo kind of leads a group of pirates to a merchant cruiser where hoping to find a stash of credits that would make them rich. Well, that backfires when they don't find any credits at all, and it's only 1 credit. And then that kind of moves into the next aspect of the characters that we're introduced to in the kids. We see Wim, who is the youngest of the cast in this, where he's a kid who loves to seek different adventures and wants to have the time of his life and wants to be a Jedi. And it's interesting because the Jedi lore is prevalent and straightforward in this. It's like, now today's kids know about sci-fi, fantasy, but in this, they know about Jedi temples. And we see Wim's life change forever after the discovery of a hidden Jedi temple. Or so it seems that that is. And later turns out to be not true, after learning the truth is actually an abandoned ship filled with a lot of secrets, which is a starship. We then are introduced to Neil, Wim's friend, who is fun yet shy character, and so far my favorite of this series. He's cute, he's adorable, and he doesn't break the rules except what Wim does. Wim tells him what to do, and Neil goes along with it, but he's forced to do things after he joins Wim and others on their quest, the secrets about this abandoned ship. We're then introduced to Fern and KB. Fern and KB are best friends, but Fern is this risk taker and kind of that annoying female young child character who is just like, okay, stop saying things, making up stories, or you'll get into a lot of trouble. Well, that's what that character does, get into a lot of trouble. She gives Wim and Neil a hard time throughout the first 2 episodes, and it really, really shows. We then have KB, who is part of the group of kids that is with Fern, but she's very intelligent. She has a cybernetic implant attached to the back of her head where she kind of figures out diagnostics and everything. And then we have the characters of Wim's father, Wendell, and Fern's mother by the name of Farah, who actually is kind of the, I want to say the secretary of something, but it's not really given out what that is. And then we have the villains in this. We have Jaleel White, yes, Steve Urkel, who plays Gunter, one of the Pirates crew members that was with Captain Silver, or Jude Law's character. And then we have this Brutus, who is a ruthless pirate whose main reason is why Captain Silver is imprisoned in the first place. And it's just like, okay, the design of the character is interesting. While they find out, the kids, Wim, Fern, KB, and Neil, they find this thing in the side of their planet. And it turns out to be a starship. All of a sudden, they activate it and they go off into hyperspace. Millions galaxies miles away, they don't know where they are. And then they kind of wake up SM-33, who is a droid and kind of the first mate of Onyx Cinder, who is voiced by Nick Frost. Yes, that Nick Frost who you may know from the Cornetto trilogy, along with Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright. He then takes the kids to a starport where they want to go and they want to ask questions of how to get back home. But then, in a way to do certain things, this is episode 2, we see Wim kind of pay with credits, and they're like, where do these credits come from? Why do you have these credits? And it's like, oh, these pirates want that money. And then they say they're from Ad Adnan, and it's like, Ad Adnan? And one of the characters that are trying to help the girls says that place is a myth. It's a world of lost treasure. So it's like, oh, what? Okay, where is this going now? And all this is happening in a matter of 2 episodes. It's like, oh, it's easy to follow, very straightforward. I will say, the first episode was directed by John Watts, and up until episode 4, it was written by Christopher Ford and John Watts. And I'm really excited for this show. And I will say that the action is there, the comedy is there, and seeing Jude Law as a Force user who is a quick thinker but kind of uses his charm is very different. Did I ever think to see Jude Law in a Star Wars universe TV series or film? No, absolutely not. But with this, it just works. When he is kind of using his Force power to grab the key from the brig, you can hear the Jedi music playing. It has that Star Wars feel, has that Star Wars look to it. Of course, I will say that it's a mix of E.T. and the Goonies put into a Star Wars universe. You get Skeleton Crew. This is really good. The characters that you love, you do love them. The characters you hate, you do hate them. Brutus, crazy character. I didn't expect that I would enjoy him. Neil is cute and adorable. Fern, so far, is just okay. She's just really annoying, but she has a way of doing things. And Wim is just that character who you love, who just wants to go on adventures and wants to be a Jedi one day. This is a kids show, for sure. Definitely. It's a coming-of-age story, and it's very rare that you have a show like this taking place in the same universe as The Mandalorian and Return of the Jedi. Remember, in The Mandalorian, pirates were really, really big. Some Easter eggs, you see some of those characters from The Mandalorian, maybe in this as well. I'm really excited for this because after the way the past few, I will say, Star Wars shows have been, it hasn't been that exciting. The Acolyte was very, very poorly received. I did not enjoy it, but I'm hoping with this we get a movement forward where, okay, this brings us back to what Star Wars is, what it can be. And not only that, not only did John Watts direct a few episodes, Bryce Dallas Howard and Lee Isaac Chung, and Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, who directed Everything Everywhere All at Once, have directed an episode as well. So it's a who's who of directors, and it's like, ooh, this is good, because you know where it can go. There will definitely be some emotional parts to it, some emotional aspects to it. I'm very curious to see where it lays the groundwork for. We know it takes place after Return of the Jedi in the Mandalorian universe, but then also what will come out of it? What names will be mentioned? Who knows what, who knows who? Because Wim and the kids, they kind of know about the Jedi temples. They kind of know about the Jedi powers, the Force use, and it's like, will Sith be involved? That's a big, big thing. This will be a hit or miss for Disney and Star Wars, and they're banking on a hit, because if it's not, then that's it. You should just stop doing Star Wars shows once and for all. But so far, from what I have seen with the 2-episode premiere, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm hoping this does good. Love the way the set is. Love the lens flares that happen. The setting of family dynamic hasn't been seen in Star Wars at all, where you see them living among each other, having that family-friendly bond, going to school, learning. It's like, okay, this is very different than what you usually know about what Star Wars is. And it's a fresh take, because the shows that have happened with The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Andor, Ashoka, The Acolyte, the list goes on and on. This is banking on to be a hit. If it's not, Disney has to really, really reevaluate the Star Wars universe. So let me know in the comment section below what you thought about the first 2-episode premiere of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What did you think about the aspect of the story? Do you like where it's going so far? Who's your favorite character? Who's your least favorite character? And where do you think this will all end up at the end of this series? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked. I'm Mr. Filmstock. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you all in the next review video, and be sure you tune in next week to my episode 3 review of Star Wars Skeleton Crew.